Pluto had it coming from the beginning. It was never really belong. Pluto's orbit crosses that of another planet. That's no kind of behavior for a planet.
Pluto always felt like the outsider, the misfit, hanging at the edge of our solar system like a forgotten child, its path crooked, its orbit unpredictable. It never danced quite right with the others. It wasn't welcomed with open arms, not really. First, they called it a planet, then took that title away. It was never about what Pluto was, it was about what it wasn't. And maybe, just maybe, the universe took notice. Because something happened. Something no one thought could. Something that feels less like an accident and more like a reckoning. Pluto collided with Neptune. In the farthest reaches of our solar system, where time moves slower and light barely reaches, two ancient worlds met. Not in peace, not in harmony, but in violence. The kind of violence that reshapes reality. We didn't see it happen. We couldn't. But the signs were unmistakable. Gravitational waves rippling across the void, radiation screaming through the silence, a cloud of debris unfurling like smoke from a fire none of us could have imagined. And now something terrifying is happening. For as long as we've watched the skies, Pluto and Neptune were locked in a cosmic rhythm, a carefully choreographed dance that ensured they would never touch. Pluto, though erratic, was tethered by resonance, 3 orbits of Pluto for every 2 of Neptune. It was nature's safety net, a system that, until now, had never failed. But now it's broken. What kind of force tears apart an agreement written into the mathematics of the heavens? What invisible hand reached out and nudged Pluto just far enough off course to meet Neptune head-on? We don't know, but what we do know is this. The impact was not just a crash, it was an ignition, a burst of light and heat and something else. Something we don't have a name for yet. The sensors screamed first, then the spectrometers whispered things we couldn't believe. Strange radiation, unclassifiable particles, and then silence. Not the comforting kind, but the kind that feels like the world is holding its breath. We thought we understood our solar system. We thought we had mapped every danger, every dance, every distant piece of rock and ice. But now the edge of our cosmic backyard has turned into something we don't recognize. And the fear, the real fear, isn't just in what happened, it's in what's coming. Because this collision, it wasn't neat, it wasn't tidy, it was a messy, chaotic, unpredictable explosion of ancient materials. Pluto's icy crust mixed with Neptune's deep pressurized secrets. And in that mixture, something new was born, something unstable, something with a pulse. And it's not just the pulse itself that unsettles the scientists. It's the way the universe is reacting to it. The solar system, once thought to be a quiet, reliable neighborhood, is changing. Subtle at first. A wobble here, a drift there, tiny shifts in objects that were once stable. But small shifts can mean everything when you're dealing with millions of miles and billions of years. This is how chaos begins. Not with a bang, but with a quiet, almost unnoticeable lean. And through it all, one question echoes louder than the rest. What if this wasn't random? What if Pluto's long exile, its strange orbit, its removal from the planetary club? What if all of that wasn't just science reclassifying a rock? What if Pluto was never meant to be here in the first place? What if it came from somewhere else? And this was always its destination. As we look toward that dark, distant corner of the sky, where 2 worlds have become one broken, glowing scar, we're left with a feeling that's hard to explain. It's not just awe. It's not just fear. It's the sense that something ancient has awakened, and that we are only just beginning to feel its breath on our world. Even from billions of miles away, Earth feels it. Not in the way we feel a gust of wind or the warmth of sunlight, but deep down in the quiet movements of the planet. Precision instruments have begun to whisper unsettling things. A tiny shift in Earth's axis, a minute change in our orbit. Too small to feel, too subtle to see. But it's there, like a thread tugged gently at first, then harder as something distant begins to unravel. This isn't just a crash between 2 cold, forgotten bodies. It's the beginning of a conversation we never knew we were a part of. A collision that might have torn a seam in the very fabric of space around us. The gravitational wave that followed wasn't like anything recorded before. It wasn't smooth or rhythmic. It came in uneven pulses, as if something had awakened, but didn't quite know what to do with itself yet. Something that was breathing for the first time, and now they're calling it the pulse. It moves like a heartbeat, but twisted, wrong, not alive, but not lifeless either. Scientists stare at the data, and what once was the realm of theory is now bleeding into reality. Some call it a gravitational echo. Others think it's more than that, a kind of message, a warning, or perhaps a signal. But from what? Or from where? What chills the blood most isn't what we see, but what we can't. Beyond the obvious chaos, something stranger is unfolding. Satellites have picked up fluctuations in the heliosheath, the edge of our solar system where the solar wind meets the unknown. That boundary is warping, bending, almost breathing. The barrier between our home and the dark beyond is shifting, being pushed or pulled. It's like the solar system is bracing for something, rebalancing, adapting to a wound it doesn't understand. And inside the cloud of debris, the wreckage left behind by the collision, there's something glowing. Not heat, not fire, but a kind of light we've never seen before. Spectrometers struggle to interpret it. Some scientists say the wavelengths don't match any known pattern, that we might be seeing the birth of particles not part of the standard model, new matter, or worse, unstable matter. Within that storm of shattered ice and vaporized gas, strange signals are emerging. Radio pulses, magnetic surges, patterns that seem to repeat but with no clear source. Some call it interference. Others call it intention. Because the rhythm feels deliberate. And this is where the fear grows heavier. What if that light, that pulse, that pattern isn't just a byproduct of the crash? What if it's the consequence of opening something that was sealed, or waking something that was dormant? There are whispers in the scientific community now, not just speculation, but genuine worry. Theories once dismissed as science fiction are crawling back into the light, that the ice giants, like Neptune, could contain cores of exotic matter. Substances held under such immense pressure that releasing them could break the rules of physics as we know them. What if that's what cracked open? And what if in doing so, something was unleashed? We've long believed that the outer solar system was quiet, that it held only cold rocks and frozen mysteries. But the violence of this collision tells a different story, that perhaps under all that silence, the outer edges of our system were never dead at all. Just waiting. And as if that wasn't enough, there's a growing suspicion, a theory that keeps surfacing in hushed voices behind closed doors. That this collision wasn't random at all, that something out there pushed Pluto off course, that a massive invisible object, maybe even the long-theorized Planet 9, passed close enough to destabilize everything. If that's true, then something far larger may still be moving through the darkness. And whatever it is, we haven't seen it yet, but we will. And when we do, the question won't be what is it? It will be what has it already done? There's a strange quiet now. Not in space. It's never truly silent out there. But among us. The people watching, the scientists, the dreamers, the ones who used to look up at the night sky with wonder, now look with a growing sense of dread. We used to think of space as distant, disconnected. What happened out there couldn't touch us. But this collision, this event, has shaken that illusion apart. And maybe it was always just that, an illusion. Something is happening in the places we thought were safe. The far edge of the solar system has turned into a storm of impossible forces. Probes that once sent back routine data now relay things that don't make sense. Sensors detect elements that shouldn't exist. And buried within the electromagnetic chaos is a modulation, like a voice speaking in frequencies, not words. It's not speech, not music, but it's intentional, rhythmic, intelligent even. One researcher described it as unnaturally natural, like the universe is mimicking intelligence, or intelligence is mimicking the universe. And in the middle of it all, the remains of Pluto and Neptune spin in a cloud of ruin, changing shape, glowing with unnatural light. throwing shadows we've never seen before. It's like something is building itself out of the wreckage, or maybe trying to rebuild what it once was. Either way, it doesn't feel random anymore. That's what's terrifying, because this was supposed to be impossible. We thought we understood how the solar system worked. We thought we had mapped it, modeled it, tamed it with numbers and names. But now our models are broken, our predictions fall silent, and the further we look, the more we realize how little we actually know. And still, the changes keep coming. Trans-Neptunian objects are shifting course. Small fragments are slipping inward, breaking off the chaos and quietly threading their way toward the center. Some of them are big enough to matter. Not today, maybe not even in 100 years, but they're moving. Slowly, relentlessly. Earth is not in the line of fire yet. But that's the thing with space, with gravity, with time. The dominoes that fall at the edge of the system can, eventually, rattle everything all the way down to us. And now behind the scenes, the silence of government speaks louder than anything else. Some observatories have gone quiet, data feeds have been cut, military satellites redirected. There's talk of containment, not of debris, but of information. What if this is bigger than science? What if it's something we're not meant to know? In the vacuum of truth, fear rushes in to fill the space. People imagine dark things, singularities, wormholes, ancient machines. Some believe the collision awoke something not just natural, but purposeful, not just cosmic, but designed. Are those wild thoughts? Maybe. But when the known rules no longer apply, when the universe begins to show us a side we never imagined existed, who are we to say what's too far? And yet, even in all this darkness, there's a strange beauty, a terrible wonder, because we are witnessing something that hasn't happened in the memory of humankind, maybe not in the memory of Earth itself. Two worlds colliding, the birth of something unknown, the cosmos shifting its weight, making room for whatever comes next. We stare into the black, not with answers, but with awe. Fear and fascination twine together like the orbit of two fated bodies. The universe has spoken, and for once it didn't whisper. It screamed. And now we wait, watching as the scars of the impact drift and change, as fragments spiral through the dark, as signals pulse from the wound, waiting to see if what comes next will pass us by or come crashing home.